Hey, happy Friday. This week Intel and AMD both had big announcements on the same day. Google announced that they're killing off Stadia because they're Google, and there is a massive buildup of solar panels in Europe. Welcome to the Friday Checkout. Okay, we'll start the brief with a ton of new announcements coming from Amazon. Perhaps the most interesting one is the new Kindle Scribe, which is a 10.2-inch e-ink tablet with a stylus just like a Remarkable. The Amazon difference is that it's pretty cheap, just $340 including a pen, and I assume that you'll also have the Kindle app on it, unlike on its competitors. And by the way, Amazon first registered domains for a Kindle Scribe back in 2011, so somebody predicted this device 11 years ago. Otherwise, there's a new pair of high-end 4K TVs called Amazon Fire TV Omni QLED TVs with fairly significant display upgrades, a new version of the Fire TV Cube, which now has better upscaling and support for Wi-Fi 6 and more, a new 5th generation Echo Dot, which will now act as a mesh Wi-Fi extender as part of Amazon's Eero Wi-Fi systems, and finally Halo Rise, a new $140 bedside sleep tracker that tracks your sleep patterns and wakes you up with bright lights. Most of this is on pre-order now, and some of it is only available in the US to begin with. Moving on from Amazon, we saw renders from trusty OnLeaks of the new S23 series, and the new design seemed like minor changes from last generation. Then DALL-E is now open for all, no more invite system, you'll just need to register an account, and you'll get to create 50 images in the first month. Meta has just announced its own Meta AI, which generates videos from text prompts, and the company is showing it off if you send a tweet to it, but yeah, it's not available for the general public yet. And then Samsung demoed a slidable PC, or a slidable tablet, at Intel's Innovation Day, which goes from 13-inch to 17-inch with a fairly modest crease in it, and most interestingly, the guy from Samsung actually said the following.
We implemented sliding technology rather than foldable. Foldable is gone, but it's just beginning, right? So
Foldable is gone. Kind of sounds like foldables were just a step onto our way to rollables, according to Samsung, and if that's the case, I'm looking forward to our rollable future. Then in a non-release, Microsoft is discontinuing SwiftKey on iOS next week, going away from the App Store on October 5th, as Microsoft is giving up dealing with Apple's limitations on third-party keyboards. And finally, for the brief, I'm happy to report that we're now going to be talking about chess and vibrating penis rings. You might have heard the news of chess legend Magnus Carlsen sensationally quitting because of his suspicions about opponent Hans Niemann, who'd beat him in recently, potentially, say, conspiracy theorists, with vibrating adult toys that might have secretly communicated moves generated by chess algorithms to him. And now a Danish journalist who doesn't really play chess tried out a buzzing penis ring himself against a young chess grandmaster and played well, making a few blunders caused only by miscommunication. The world has never been more buzzing. Okay, that's it for the brief this week, and again, all the newly announced products, including all the Amazon stuff, will be linked down in the description, along with a bunch of new AMD and Intel CPUs, which I'll be talking about in my first story. So first, AMD announced all the details of its new Ryzen 7000 desktop CPU series in full, which now include new Zen 4 refinements to architecture and higher clock speeds. Together, those contribute to a 29% faster single-core CPU performance over last gen, while a shift to TSMC's 5nm process helps with power efficiency. The desktop processors are on sale right now, including the lowest spec Ryzen 5 7600X and the top-level Ryzen 9 7950X, though you will need a new motherboard as well as DDR5 RAM for either. The first benchmarks are making these processors look pretty promising, and just so AMD can't have all the attention for itself, Intel also released their 13th gen Raptor Lake CPUs as well on the exact same day. Unlike AMD, Intel is sticking with last year's Intel 7 manufacturing process, and as it has done in the past, it is pretty much just adding more cores, making them run at higher clock speeds, and adding a little bit more extra cache. That means there are no benefits from a newer node, but at least you can plop the chips into existing boards. Anyway, there doesn't seem to be a very clear value or performance champion between these two yet, but Intel has also announced a bunch of other things that do seem very interesting. Specifically, Intel's new top-level GPUs, the Arc 770 and the Arc 750, have just been revealed, and they look like they have a real focus on value. The 770 will start at $329 and is supposedly competitive with an NVIDIA 3060 Ti, so if the benchmarks hold up, then Intel could have a fairly aggressively priced GPU lineup that they grow from the bottom up. Given that NVIDIA has just outraged the entire gaming industry with how expensive their top-level cards are, I think the value play from Intel makes sense here. Oh, and fun fact, Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger was wearing a t-shirt that spelled geek in a binary and said that Moore's law is alive and well, and he again said that we'll get chips with 1 trillion transistors by 2030. Okay, my second story of the week is kind of an unexpected one, and it is solar panels actually piling up in ports and warehouses around the world, and especially in Europe. So Bloomberg reported that solar panels are piling up in warehouses in energy-starved Europe, with tens of thousands of these panels sitting unused, and my team has confirmed this problem with multiple sources in the industry as well. There are a record number of imports, including from China, and obviously the whole energy crisis in Europe means that there is record demand for installing the panels as well. But there seem to be 3 distinct bottlenecks. First, there are just not enough people to install the panels. Doing so takes quite a bit of work and skill, so if you are looking for a job, that seems to be a pretty great career choice right about now. Rooftop solar installations are apparently particularly labor intensive, and if you're calling for an installation in Germany, for example, you might have to wait up until March. Second, chips needed for inverters are apparently in low supply as well, so either you are waiting to put panels in, or you are connecting panels without the electronics to get it on the grid or to power your house. And finally, companies might also be stockpiling panels in anticipation of import bans that the EU has been hinting at for a while now in relation to China's Xinjiang region. Xinjiang is a province of China where ethnic Uyghurs are often put into re-education camps in the millions, so that's why it's obviously a problematic region, but apparently it's also part of the supply chain for solar panels. Now, I doubt whether the EU would actually pass a ban on solar panels in the middle of our current energy crisis, but who knows? Anyway, EU solar installations are at a record regardless, with Germany adding 3.8 gigawatts of photovoltaics in the first half of 2022, France adding 1.5 gigawatts, Portugal adding half a gigawatt, and so on. Okay, and my last story of the week is going to be Google shutting down Stadia, and this was maybe not a full surprise, but man, just 2 weeks ago, my video was about Google shutting down their laptop business, so this company really seems to be on the roll here. So Stadia is officially gone, and Google announced it by saying, Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, but also that it hadn't gained the traction with users that they expected. Employees will be asked to move elsewhere in Google if possible, and the Stadia technology backbone might be applied to other stuff like YouTube and AR in the future or whatever. Anyone who bought Stadia gear or games gets a full refund, so credit to Google for that at least, though Stadia Pro subscriptions are apparently not eligible for a refund, which seems a little bit harsh. The service itself shuts on January 18th, 2023, so if you want, you can still shake off the cobwebs on your controller until then. Anyway, credible reports claim that Google spent shocking amounts of money on Stadia, including tens of millions of dollars per game like Red Dead Redemption and Assassin's Creed, so it wasn't an issue of money per se, but likely a larger management failure. The iconic early lag issues were pretty much all polished off eventually to leave a pretty robust streaming experience, but Sundar Pichai launching Stadia at a big event, saying that he is not a big gamer, and laughing that the Google Chrome dinosaur was Google's only gaming experience so far, kind of said a lot about Google's approach. Sundar brushed off these problems, saying that his team was great at solving hard computer science problems, which I guess is true, but it just kind of wasn't enough, and it would have been nice if his team also had a bit more of a gaming DNA to them. The writing was kind of already on the wall when Google killed their own first-party game studio without releasing even a single game. And overall, the company just failed to push as hard with availability or games as Microsoft with their platform, or even Nvidia with GeForce Now. I don't know, this just seemed like such a mismanaged project from the start, and it's really sad to see Google putting like 50% effort into so many projects and then deciding that, okay, well, that didn't work, and then just killing it all off. Anyway, that's it for this week. Links to all the newly announced products are down in the description. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next Friday.